Lisa, how's
Good
everything
morning.
there? You good to go?
Yes, we are.
You're good, Missy? We good to go on YouTube? We are good to go. Okay, well, welcome everybody. Good crowd today. This is great. So I'll call this regular meeting to order June 7th. It is 10 o'clock straight up. First, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, and Roy, will you lead us in the pledge? And then the invocation will be led by Pastor Garrissey from First Baptist Church.
Heavenly Father, we're seeking your wisdom and guidance once again. And Father, forgive us for not coming to you as often as we should. Lord, we thank you for your grace and we thank you for your mercy. We thank you for another day of life. And most importantly, Father, we thank you for the Lord Jesus Christ and the free salvation that he gives with simple belief in what he did at Calvary. Now, Lord God, I pray that you'd allow these men, these women to make decisions based on the fear of God. Lord, there was a time when we sought your face in this nation on a regular basis. Lord, help us never to forget that. Lord, we love you in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Hey, if you guys remain standing just for one more thing. I know a lot of you, especially around here in Globe, know, but Rosie Grice passed away here recently, and apparently she's a longtime employee of Gila County. So if we could just take a moment of silence, that would be awesome for the family and friends. Thank you. Okay, we'll get started with this. Presentations 2A, presentation of the 2021-22 Gila County Teacher of the Year Award to Miss Mary Yazzie from Miami High School, and recognition of 2 additional Teacher of the Year finalists, Miss Kim Che from San Carlos Rice Elementary, and Miss Wendy Graneman from Tonto Basin School. Roy Sandoval. Hopefully I got those names right, Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board. Think back with me, if you will, and I'd like to invite you all. Think back about teachers that made a difference in your life. As you attended school and as you grew up, I think of Mrs. Barker, who was the most creative reader, who gave life to the characters in our books and gave a love, inspired me to read because suddenly those characters had life. And Miss Jean, who taught us that a song tells a story, and you can tell the story with 3 different voices because a melody has harmonies, and 3 different voices tell the same story and add beauty to the story. I think of Mr. Hood, who had survived polio, my 6th grade teacher. And he said, you know what, Roy? Sometimes with your own efforts, you make your own luck. Somehow he learned to walk. Somehow he became a teacher. Miss Polly Dadna, who played piano for the Presbyterian Church and taught government, and who all 4'11" of her paddle in hand taught me a lesson that maybe didn't go to my brain. It went into some other nerves. I recall, it was something like paddle in hand, bend over, and do not stand up until I'm done swatting. I think the number was 13. Sue Reed, who taught me dihybrid crosses, taught me science, gave me a love for science, which my degree was in biology, chemistry, and physics. Instilled many, many lessons and many points of curiosity, and quite frankly inspired me to go into sciences. Dennis Perch, who I recall saying, it depends on how hard you want to work. It depends on how hard you want to work for your success. And some of those teachers are in their 80s now. They still contact me. They keep track of me. I know that as I've spoken, many of you might have thought of teachers that inspired you as you went through school, as you achieved what you did. In this day and age, it takes courage to be a teacher. At one time we said, well, who needs courage to teach kindergartners? Of course, yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger for kindergarten cop. Who needs courage for that? But it takes courage. If you don't think it takes courage, ask the people from Uvalde. Ask the people from Douglas Stillman in Florida. Ask the people from Sandy Hook what it takes to go in every day. Every day, 180 days a year. Teach kids in the face of what we have. So, these people that inspire, these people that are courageous and inspire courage, we honor today. And I thank you for taking part in honoring them. But I would like you to see that honor in the context, with some context. Let me grab my glasses here. I'm going to read these because surely if I do it from memory, it'll come out wrong. We wish we could honor every teacher, and we wish we could make you aware of every nominee because they are tremendous, and we have so many wonderful recommendations from people. We did narrow it down to 3 finalists and a Teacher of the Year. So I'm going to begin with the finalists. If I can have Wendy Granneman come up here. She is from Tonto Basin. Charles Alamandera is nominated, Ms. Granneman. Said, in fact, Ms. Granneman started and guided the successful Kiwanis Terrific Kids program and presented it to other teachers. Now the entire school is involved. And at morning assemblies, I personally witnessed students ask how they can become a terrific kid. In fact, Ms. Granneman is the one teacher this year nominated by 2 separate individuals. Sherry Bouchard, our Betancourt, also wrote, she attends the basketball, the volleyball games, cheers for all the students in the game. She attends the monthly game by the Kiwanis host for the community, encouraging citizens to interact and play board games and card games with you. She had a student who had behavioral and emotional challenges and trouble engaging in the class. Wendy was brought to tears when he gave her a paper that said he loves her. So Wendy, we thank you. We honor you. We have a plaque for you. And we have a certificate that you can keep. And we'll also be sending one to your school. Hang on here. I didn't have them in the exact order. And we thank you for your service. Thank you. Kim Che, where are you? There she is back there. She has to come up here and stand politely and take it, right? It's hard to come up here when people say good things about you. She's from San Carlos Unified School District. Doug Stafford nominated her. A kindergarten teacher for over 26 years. She is like a ray of sunshine fun to be around and a positive individual. Ms. Che always thinks of her students first and makes sure they're learning in a safe environment. She designated a tree out in the schoolyard, and they called it the Tree of Life. If a student saw or caught a lizard or insect that could be in harm's way, they released it into the Tree of Life. Her efforts helped many have a second chance at life, all due in part to the students who learned how to respect the lives of others, great and small. That's beautiful. So, for you as well, we have a plaque.
Thank you.
And we have a certificate that you can frame. And we'll send one to the school as well.
Thank you.
We honor you and we thank you. You know, it's interesting that just a few words can change the trajectory of someone's life. When we come upon that person, what we say and how we say it, particularly with students, but even with adults, can change the trajectory of how they feel, of how they perceive the world, of what they're inspired to be. Miss Yazzie, come on up here. And Miss Yazzie was nominated last year as well. I remember reading her nomination and thought, wow, this lady's something. What are Miss Yazzie top honors? Julia Serta Crawford wrote, an instructor in art and graphic design. Her expertise and knowledge of technology go beyond the borders of any graphic arts classroom. She's been a pioneer in researching all avenues that would help students in and out of the classroom. Mary is a very soft-spoken teacher, yet she will command her class to make sure she is heard and assignments for their future finished. A recent recognition at the football field was definitely a surprise for Miss Yazzie. She was unaware that she would be honored. All of the high school students went up to her and gave her a rose to show their admiration for her participation in their journey. Miami students helped paint a popular mural in downtown Globe with her guidance, and students' work was pictured in the Globe newspaper. I might add that Miss Yazzie's class is a civic class, so students come out of that class and they are certificated and they're ready to begin their work in the graphic arts world, whether it be for a newspaper, magazine, advertisement. But they are work ready and ready to begin their careers. So Miss Yazzie, once again, we honor you, Teacher of the Year.
Can I make a correction?
Yes.
It was the basketball team.
Oh,
that
basketball
recognized
team,
me.
okay.
Yes.
All right.
It was during the basketball game.
Well, for that knowledge, you get $500. She will also be honored at the Arizona Rural School Association banquet and conference in September. And she will be nominated for a National Teacher of the Year award. And so we thank you, and we honor you, and we appreciate you. Now, that's a
Chairman,
nice-
Yeah,
may I say something to Ms. Yazzie, please?
go ahead.
Ms. Yazzie? Ms. Yazzie?
Yeah.
Would you like to say anything?
I would also like to congratulate you two from Michaela Henderson. She just graduated from NAU as a Studio Arts bachelor's degree and also a minor in art history and biology with a great thanks to you as her main teacher. She loves you very much.
I love her.
Oh.
So,
Would you like to speak?
You know, Miami's a wonderful place to work, Globe Miami area. I came here 14 years ago, and I really enjoyed living here, teaching and seeing the kids excel like Michaela and all the others. I thank all of you for this award. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
So, what I'd like to do first, right now, is just thank these folks, these teachers. You guys are doing an awesome job. You mean a lot to our community, so thank you very much. You guys have something to say real quick?
Just real quick, I very much appreciate all the time, energy, and effort you put in to our future by teaching our children the things and the things that they need to know to get ready for life. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I find it very humorous that Roy was graded on his paper by the Teacher of the Year. There goes your A+. No, our teachers really are very important to our culture, our children as they're growing. So a good teacher is an encourager, someone that inspires. And I appreciate very much the teachers here today and all of our teachers that we have. Thank you.
Roy, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. We're going to take a little break right now while we get this young man taken care of, and once that's done, well, then we'll start the meeting again. So let's take a little break. go, ladies? 1 minute. Lisa, are you good in pacing?
Yes, sir, we are.
Are you good on YouTube? Good to go. And Missy says we're good here, so I'll call this meeting back in order. It is 10:30, right on the money. So 2B, presentation of April 30th, 2022, Gila County financial data as it compares to the fiscal year 22, Gila County budget in fiscal years 21, 20, and 19 year-to-date performance. Maren, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, members, supervisors. We are here with our monthly update as far as where we are relative to the budget, where we are relative to the prior 3 fiscal years. And this data will be published in the 2023 budget book, so that everybody has it for all eternity. So as you can see, the blue bar in each section to the left is what the full year budget is. The red bar shows where we are fiscal year to date, and that is 67% for salaries and EREs, 64% for operating expenses, which comes to a total of 66% for total expenditures and encumbrances. And then we were at 70% year-to-date for revenue as of April 30th. As you can see, compared to the green bar, which would be 10 months year-to-date target of 83%, we are below target for expenses and revenue, which we expect because of the way property taxes and things like that come in. We are also below where we were in the past 3 years, looking across the board there. So this morning I did, before we came up here, run where we are year-to-date as of this morning, and we are on track for the year to finish solidly with revenues and to be under budget for expenses for the general fund. Since we're already 30 minutes into the meeting, I will keep my presentation very short today, and I will leave it at that. The narrative is attached if you'd like.
Thank you, Maren. Supervisor Christensen, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Maren, for that good report. So I think we're going to see a big jump in revenue on that revenue line over the next couple of months' reports.
You should, yes, because as of this morning, we are at 38.6 million, which is another about 10%. And we've still got a whole month and a half with the way accruals work to fill that in. So we should be good.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. I like the dark background.
Good, okay.
It's a lot easier to read.
And we added the tabulation style at the bottom, because,
Yeah.
gosh, that's easier than jumping back and forth.
Thank you very much.
Good job, Maren. Thank you, ladies, for doing that.
Thank you.
Okay, on to 2A, under public hearings, 3A, excuse me. Information, discussion, action to adopt ordinance number 2022-03, which authorizes the amendment of the zoning map for unincorporated areas of Gila County by changing the zoning for assessor's parcel number 301-14-004A, which is 4269 Pine Creek Canyon Road, Pine, Arizona, currently designated as Residential 1 Density 12 District, R1-D12 to Transitional Residential District, TR, to allow Pine Creek Lavender Farm to expand its land base, agritourism activities, and parking area on the property, subject to the adherence of 6 conditions of approval as outlined in the ordinance. Randy Plumer, all yours, Randy.
Thank you, Chairman, Supervisors. By the way, I wanted to get a cold sweat when he was talking about getting SWAT at school, because I've been involved with that before. So this is basically the lot just north of the existing lavender farm in Pine, Arizona, which has been there for years. It has a lot of people like lavender. I don't know, but Terry is doing a good job of running this farm. And what they want to do is be able to expand it. They have very limited parking, very limited any other room on the current lot. And they want to have special events and those kind of things in the future. They've talked about having festivals and everything else. The lot next, or just north of them, is 4.68 acres. It has a pond on it. I believe it has a house on it. So they've purchased this and want to be able to expand, and since they are R1, they want to rezone it to TR to match their existing Lavender Farm zoning. They currently have 3 letters in support, 1 letter of concern, and 1 letter opposed. The restrictions that they're looking at is Javelina Sky, through its managing partner Terry Gorton, shall abide by all local, state, federal, and laws and applied. A development plan application is going to be required to be submitted, which is, the next step is how we can verify what they're doing and what they want to do that is in accordance with our area. A temporary use permit shall be applied for and approved prior to any special events being held. Any proposed structure or use in the floodplain or floodway portion of the property shall require a permit by Gila County Building Department and Flood Control District. All signage shall comply with TR District. All lighting shall comply with our outdoor lighting ordinance for transitional residential district. And that's it. It was voted on and approved unanimously by the P&Z Board.
Thank you, Randy. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I'm very familiar with this property. It's a beautiful property. It's the intention of the owners of it to not develop it residentially. They want to keep it open, natural. It's a habitat for elk, but they do want to expand their parking lot. The way it is right now, it's a bit dangerous to come on and off of Pine Creek Road because the parking lot's too small. They are building a bigger business. It's just an absolute beautiful thing what they're doing. It's just a real gem in my, they're actually the winners of the moonshot contest that was just conducted by the Rim Country Chamber. And so they have their own, they're on a different water system than the Pine Strawberry Water Improvement District. They have what's called the Pine Water District, I think, and it's surface water. There's only about 50 properties on that water. It's like a canal, an open ditched canal in a way that starts up in Pine Creek, and they also have their own wells. So I don't believe it'll be much of an impact as far as water in Pine.
And I will tell you, the one opposition that has come forward with this was concerned that they would develop this property, putting other structures and buildings and homes on it, which once it's rezoned, it is rezoned, but that is not the intentions that has been represented to the board and is not what's going to be in the development agreement that will go forward. So,
Yeah, I actually know Terry pretty well, and she says, I, at some point, think I'm going to donate this to something like the Nature Conservancy so it never gets developed. That's their intention. So they're purchasing properties to keep that undeveloped. Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I believe nothing's forever, but I don't have any comments on this one way or the other. But if it's rezoned, then it's rezoned, and we'll deal with things as they come forward in the future. And so that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tim. Randy, I really don't have anything on it. Listening to this, that I think I'm okay with it.
I do believe Terry is in Pine,
Okay,
or in
Payson.
Payson.
the other P.
I figured where you're pointing, so. So with that, I'm gonna open it up to the public hearings. Payson, do we have anybody in there that wants to say anything on this?
No, sir.
Do we have on YouTube? Okay, and we do not have anybody here in Globe, I don't believe. So I'll close the public hearing and Entertaining a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to adopt ordinance number 2022-03.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. 3B under public hearings, information, discussion, action to adopt ordinance number 2022-04, which authorizes the amendment of the zoning map for unincorporated areas of Gila County by changing the zoning for assessors parcel number 201-06-0042K, which is 335 North Sycamore Lane, Tunnel Basin, Arizona, currently designated as General Unclassified District, GU, to add a trailer district, T, overlay to allow for 2 additional travel trailers to be located on the property subject to the adherence of 6 conditions of approval as outlined in the ordinance. Randy?
Again, morning, Chairman and Supervisors. This is in Tunnel Basin. This is down Sycamore Road, down at the bottom of the little hill. These people have a RV on their property currently, want to be able to have kids and family and other relatives come over. As you know, per our ordinance, you're allowed to have one RV. That is interpreted that you're allowed to have one RV. And if you have 2, you need a trailer park or a T overlay in dealing with that. So Neil and Kathy Brewer went on the process and went through this to get the T overlay for their property so that they can allow family and relatives to come out to their site. They have 1 letter opposed, and I believe that was based on they are on a shared well. And so the person that is on that shared well also didn't want them to be able to add more trailers, but we have no control over shared well agreements. So we didn't address that. P&Z voted on this and approved it. And the 6 are the conditions, that are here is the development shall be in conformance with the project description and site plan dated February 7th, 2022. Additional conformance shall apply with any future revised development plan and operation. Neil and Kathy Brewer shall abide by all local, state, and federal laws. They shall apply all local and state permits as required. A development plan application will also be required within 30 days of the approval. Any proposed structures or use in this floodplain or floodway portion of the property shall require a permit and approval by the building department and flood control. All lighting shall comply with the outdoor ordinance. Neil and Kathy Brewer must abide by all recreational vehicle and travel trailer manufacturer specifications that are applicable to the units placed on the property, including, but not limited to, the restrictions on length, occupancy. This vehicle is designed and manufactured for the camping and recreational use only and is not designed or intended to be used as a permanent residence. Neil and Kathy Brewer, owner of the property, must ensure compliance with these requirements. Gila County may, but is not required to enforce these conditions.
Thank you, Randy. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. I have no questions.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I just have one on the conditions. Septic on more homes. Is the septic adequate? Is it going to not have a septic, but they're going to need to pull them off to dump?
They will have to meet the septic requirements and that's in the development agreement that will require that.
As far as fixtures go
Fixtures
for the
and the
size of
size
the
and-
septic?
Correct.
Okay,
And that'll be signed off by the wastewater division.
okay. Yeah, I think, I'm glad you're bringing it to us. We're gonna have to do something, I think, with building costs in today's world. With plywood at $60 a sheet, I don't see a lot of people building permanent structures for a while until the world changes back. So thanks for bringing this to us and working with the people to enable them to be able to use their property in Gila County.
And I will state that community development is currently working on a work session to bring towards you, and that will be one of the main topics will be the use of RVs in the future.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it.
Randy, when we put on here the 6 conditions of approval, why would we may or may not enforce that?
That is a legal terminology that our attorney has.
And she's already
requirements.
reaching for the mic,
Like,
so,
My understanding is they're required to meet those requirements, even if we don't go out and verify that they're meeting those requirements. They are still responsible to meet those requirements, but Jeff can speak to this item.
Jeff?
Well, that paragraph is to try to help the county walk through the minefield. When somebody gets authorization from the board to use a recreational vehicle, those are manufactured under different standards than site-built homes or mobile homes that are approved under HUD standards. They're designed by manufacturers for temporary use only. So it would be a liability for the county to approve of someone living full-time as a permanent residence in a recreational vehicle when it's contrary to the manufacturer's instructions. If there were death or harm and there's a lawsuit and the county has approved that, then the county has liability. So we want to make sure they are required to abide by the manufacturer's recommendations when they get this authorization to pull the county out of liability. On the other hand, the county doesn't want to be in the position of being required to assure that they are complying with the manufacturer's recommendations, because that imposes on the county the responsibility to set up an inspection program, and if you don't, then the county could be liable for failure to assure that people are complying with the manufacturer's recommendations. And so that's the reason for the language that they're required to comply with manufacturer's recommendations, but on the other hand, the county may or may not inspect that. So the county doesn't have an affirmative duty to have to inspect those living situations and make sure they're complying with the manufacturer's recommendations. And that's the reason to walk down the safe way through this, trying to keep the county out of liability in those two situations.
That's why you got a law degree and I don't, because I still don't understand it, Jeff. I really don't. I mean, if, to me, it's like, if we put those conditions on something like this, then I'm just real simple, I guess. To me, it's like we should be enforcing it. But, thank
Well, I don't
you.
know if this helps, but in Maricopa County, there was a lawsuit against Big Surf when a young man dove in an area that appeared apparently to be deeper than it was and was injured. And the lawsuit included Maricopa County as a defendant because they had established regulations for swimming pool inspection. And the lawsuit claimed that Maricopa County had failed in adequately inspecting Big Surf's pool to assure that it was safe for the public. Now, the county would not have had liability had it not established regulations for the inspection of swimming pools. If it had not done that, it would have had no responsibility to be engaged in an inspection program. So the county doesn't have any responsibility to go out and make sure people aren't living full-time in their travel trailers. But the county could create liability by imposing on itself an inspection program to do that. So the reason I drafted it this way is to try to keep the county out of liability and not establish a program where the county is responsible to go out and inspect people's living situations in recreational vehicles. But at the same time, be sure to advise people who are doing that they're supposed to follow manufacturer's recommendations.
Thank you, Jeff.
I don't know if that's, I've wrestled with this one for a while, and I don't know if
It's
that's
gonna take a
pretty
while for
clear.
me to think on it. I bet I'll have more questions
That's
in
why
the
I call it
future.
it's a minefield of trying to
Yeah.
I understand that
step
one.
on either of these landmines.
Did you have something else, Tim?
Oh, I think anybody can sue anybody for $380.
That's what I hear.
Because that's what it costs to file a lawsuit, and I guess maybe if it's a tent with no requirements, then you can live in a tent for 12 months out of the year because it's not specified that you can't. So I understand Jeff's walk through the minefields, but at some point in time, I think we have to try to be responsible to help the public be able to utilize their property in Gila County. My 2 cents worth.
Thank you. Steve, did you have anything else you want?
No, sir.
Okay. So with that, thank you, Randy. I'm going to open it up for public hearing. Payson, do we have anybody in Payson that wants to chime in?
No, sir.
And on YouTube? None. And no one in the audience that I see. So with that, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance number 2022-04.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Here we go, Randy, another one. 3A under public hearings, information, discussion, action to adopt ordinance number 2022-05, which authorizes the amendment of the zoning map for unincorporated areas of Gila County by changing the zoning for assessor's parcel number 301-69-182C, also referred to as parcel A-1, and assessor's parcel number 301-69-12182D, also referred to as parcel A-2, which is 6373 West Ruin Hill Loop Road, Pine, Arizona, parcels A1 and A2, as shown on ROS 5509, currently designated as Commercial 2 District C2, to Transitional Residential District TR to create a personal vacation home on a parcel A-1 and proposed construction of residential homes on parcel A-2, subject to the adherence of 6 conditions of approval as outlined in the ordinance. Randy, you're it again.
Thank you, sir. This is slightly different. This is the cells building that was used for Elk Rim. And this individual, Douglas McCaffrey, has purchased this, and he has already done a lot line adjustment. The office building that is on there, he's going to remodel and make into a residence. So he's already expanded his lot line on that, moved that out a little bit more, but still has plenty of room to add a couple of buildings for future people, rentals and/or residentials. And so he's down zoning from a C2, commercial 2, down to transitional residential zoning. So he's taken it out of the commercial realm and down zoning, and it's all surrounded by residential. So it's not spot zoning, it's not out of place, it's harmonious with the legal using of the area. The 6 conditions that are included is Douglas McCaffrey shall abide by all local, state, federal laws as applied. Shall also require all permits by state, federal, and local requirements. Douglas McCaffrey shall provide a will-serve letter for water and wastewater from the Pine Creek Canyon Domestic Water Improvement District prior to the issuance of any building permits. All lighting shall comply with Gila County Outdoor Lighting Ordinance. A development plan shall be submitted and approved for commercial uses allowed within the TR zoning on the said lots. All signage shall comply with the TR district requirements. And this was the one item that the planning and zoning talked a lot about, was all structures must be site-built with conventional foundations and harmonious with the legal neighboring uses. In other words, they don't want him to put in a couple of park models when all these are custom homes in the area. And he was there, knows this, has agreed for him. I actually talked to him yesterday about this. This does not apply to like a shed. So if he had a primary use of a residential use, him putting a shed on there does not require to look and, divine a foundation that'll work for it or anything like that. It'll come with the shed that he places there. And the board voted on it and approved it and has sent it towards you guys for approval.
Randy, real quick, did we have any letters for it or opposed?
We have
opposing it?
one letter of support.
One letter of support, that was it.
Yes.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Randy. I'm familiar with this property. I suppose it was only zoned C2 just because it had a sales office there for Portals 4, but it's a beautiful piece. It should be residential. Why does he need to down zone it? Can he not just build houses on C2?
C2 doesn't allow only for a caretaker's house.
I see. Okay. And what is this Pine Creek Canyon Water Improvement District? Is that the one, which district is that?
There are 4 or 5 there. This is the one I believe is also surface water
Okay,
that he can get the letter from.
okay. All right. Yeah, that's all I have. Thanks.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I have no questions or comments other than I appreciate our volunteer boards that assess this before coming to us, and so if they're good with it, I'm good with it.
Thank you, Tim. So Randy, this is one, especially with the water issues that we've been all hearing about for a while in Steve's corner of the world. So are you gonna keep tabs on that water certificate and make sure they've got it before you?
A permit cannot even be brought across our counter unless he has a will serve letter with the plans being submitted.
Okay,
So we will ensure that he is in compliance with that. He is allowed to do alternate water source if he
Right.
needed to.
right.
But he'll have to show that on the plans when they're submitted, or provide the will serve letter. Same thing we do with the Pine Strawberry Fire Department, is we make them go get a will serve letter from Pine Strawberry Fire Department that they're able to get to the structure and deal with it prior to it even coming across our counter. Once in a great, great while, and there's gotta be a really good reason that we would accept the plans without those letters ahead of time.
Okay, I just wanted you to say that in front of everybody, so thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'll open it up for public hearings, and Lisa, do we have anybody in Payson?
No, sir.
YouTube? Nope, and I don't believe we have anyone here. So I'll close the public hearing part of it and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to adopt ordinance number 2022-05.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Moving on to 3D under public hearings. Information discussion action to consider a liquor license application, county number LL-22-03, submitted by Dominic. Missy? I'm gonna butcher this one.
I am too. I apologize in advance. I'm gonna say it's Arginano.
Sounds good to me. We'll run with that one unless somebody corrects us. For a new Series 12 restaurant license at the Dam Grill and Chill, 18808 State Route 188 Roosevelt, and issue a recommendation to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control whether the license should be granted. Missy, it's yours.
Yes, this gentleman turned in Mr. Argenzano for the Dam Grill and Chill, and this is actually at the old. Please, I apologize. My brain is kind of fried. At the, where am I going with this? Where is it at? It's next to the Spring Creek store.
Oh, the Quell Run was right there.
Boston's.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Boston's.
whoever said that. It's at the old Boston's, not the brand new one across the street, but the old one that's at the Spring Creek store. And everything was posted for 20 days, and we received absolutely no kickback on anything. Everyone's actually really, really happy to have another restaurant out there. And so everything's good. They're actually already open and serving food, and there's been no complaints whatsoever. They're just not serving any alcohol, so they're kind of waiting on their liquor license to come back. So everything has been good, and I believe that it's up to your board and make sure that everything has been absolutely
Thank you,
great.
Missy. Supervisor Christensen.
I have no comments. Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, the Boston's that was there before, I believe, had a liquor license. And so these people are reopening the restaurant. I think it'd be great for the people that visit that area. It's in my neighborhood. It's great to see it back open again. And I don't see any issues with it having a liquor license because there was one before.
Sounds good. I don't have anything to say. I think it's a good deal. So with that, I'll open it up to public hearings. And Lisa, do we have anybody in Payson?
No, sir.
Anyone on YouTube? And no one here. So I'll close the public hearing part of it and entertain a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move to recommend that the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control approve the liquor license application submitted by Dominic Argenziano for the Dam Grill and Chill.
I will second that.
I will too.
Good job.
Good job, Tim. Having a motion and a second. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. All right, number 4, regular agenda items, information, discussion, action to approve the quote and purchase addendum, quote number WLK-0385-03 with Motorola Solutions, Inc. in the amount of $229,686 for the purchase and implementation of the Sheriff's Office body-worn camera program utilizing U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program, Bureau of Justice Assistant Grant Award in the amount of $102,000 and Gila County General Fund match requirement of $102,000 and Gila County Sheriff's Office patrol general funds of $25,686 to complete the project. And it looks like, Cole, you're it.
I'm it. Although the sheriff and some other folks are watching on YouTube right now, so if you got any questions, I can dial them up and get them on there. And Sarah's watching also. So before you have the quote from Motorola Solutions, it's a single source quote, and I can explain that if you have any questions there. It's basically 85 cameras for the entire sworn sheriff's office staff. Some of them will actually get issued 2 cameras so that there's not any downtime while cameras are charging or uploading. Also outfits 51 vehicles and includes CJIS compliant cloud storage for the video and some judicial sharing features for the county attorney's office and records management software. So it's the whole package. If you remember, you guys approved the grant, and then this is the quote portion.
Thank you, Cole.
Yeah.
Steve, you got any questions?
No, just a comment. Thank you, Cole. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with this. One lawsuit concerning misconduct of any sort that may have occurred, we need to be filming what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I have no comments, and I'm glad we're finishing up this grant application so we can get forward with it. So thank you very
Yeah,
much.
we are too. Thanks.
Thanks, Cole. I think it's a good deal. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the Gila County Sheriff's Office Patrol General Funds of $25,686 to complete the purchase addendum, quote number WLK-0385-03.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Cole.
Thank you
Good
guys
job.
very much.
4B, information discussion action to approve an intergovernmental agreement with Pima County, Gila County, and Gila County Superior Court for restoration to competency services of a flat case rate of $39,000 from May 1st, 2022 to April 30th, 2027. John, good morning.
Sorry about that. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. Before you today is an intergovernmental agreement between Gila County and Pima County for restoration to competency services. Occasionally, a defendant's ability to understand the proceedings in a case and to participate in their case is brought into question. The defendant's competency is then evaluated. If the defendant is found to be restorable, that's where restoration services come into play. Gila has successfully utilized the Restoration to Competency program in Yavapai County since 2010. In 2021, the court began receiving notifications from Yavapai that they were at capacity and any new restorations would be delayed. Those delays sometimes reached 30 or more days. In order to avoid any impositions on due process and hopefully to alleviate some stress on detention resources, an alternative restoration program was sought. We worked with court administrators from other jurisdictions to identify such an alternative program. There were two options, Pima County's program and that of the Arizona State Hospital. In estimating costs for those two programs, Pima was clearly the better option. Several other counties also in the same predicament chose Pima as well. At that point, we collaborated with Gila County Finance and Pima County's RTC program, and the result is the draft IGA that's before you at this time. Lastly, I would note that the Pima County IGA would strictly be an alternative option. We will continue to utilize Yavapai County unless they are not receiving new defendants. So with that, I'll take questions.
Thank you, Jonathan. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, John, for that presentation. $39,000 is not a lot of money for the RTC services, but why doesn't Gila County do that ourselves? Is it because the price would be much higher, the expense?
Likely so. That's not really my particular realm of expertise. I think that would involve medication-assisted treatment, the availability of evaluators and doctors, probably secure detention facilities.
So we outsource because they already have that facility, personnel, and staff and all that. So,
Correct, sir.
okay. Thank you, John.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Neither do I, Jonathan, so thank you. With that, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement with Pima County, Gila County, and Gila County Superior Court for restoration to competency services.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you.
4C, information, discussion, action to approve the intergovernmental agreements between the Gila County Recorder's Office, the Gila County Division of Elections, and the following jurisdictions: City of Globe, Town of Hayden, Town of Miami, Town of Payson, Town of Star Valley, and Town of Winkleman. Eric,
Yes.
good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Klein, Supervisors Christensen, and Supervisor Humphrey. Before you today, we have a series of intergovernmental agreements with the jurisdictions that you just read off, and it's simply what we refer to as a menu of services and the contract of what we do as far as conducting the elections for those particular jurisdictions. Of course, all in accordance with the Arizona Revised Statutes and our Elections Procedures Manual. So I'm here on behalf of Sadie Bingham, the recorder, to just go ahead and put this forward to you if you have any questions. The main thing about this is a little bit different, is that in the past, our IGAs for provision of election services were open-ended. We didn't have an end date. So in keeping with practices, we have established in this particular IGA an end date of December 31st, 2026, at which time we will return to you for approval of the jurisdictional services that we provide for these towns and cities.
Thank you, Eric. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Eric. So I do have some questions on
Okay.
this one. Okay. I'm not exactly sure what we're approving here. We're approving IGAs with all these entities. As I looked through the paperwork, though, I saw language that says vote by mail, conduct vote by mail.
Right.
In a couple of locations. So is that what we're voting on, that would include a vote by mail? So if I don't like the vote by mail,
If that jurisdiction decides that they want to, like for instance, the town of Payson, they have a special election, or what other entity might desire to have say for instance, there's 4 call dates throughout the year that an election can be called. March election, May election, for whatever purpose that the entity might desire. And if they wish to conduct that by mail, it's an option that they have to do. They can conduct it that way by statute.
so it's just giving them permission to
Yes.
conduct an election
Yes,
by
and
mail
that-
if they choose.
Correct.
So why do we have jurisdiction? Is it within the town of Payson, for instance? It's because the county's involved in that election?
We're primarily their vendor. We provide the election services
We're the
for them.
vendor. They want to conduct it by
Yes.
mail.
That's on them.
And so it's not the county's decision to do that. And so this is not, this only involves incorporated
Yes.
towns within Gila County.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
that it?
That's all for me.
Okay, Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions.
I'm good, Eric, thanks. Thank you for that. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the IGAs between Gila County Recorder's Office, the Gila County Division of Elections, and the jurisdictions as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor.
4D, information discussion action to approve various intergovernmental agreements to jointly cooperate in Gila County's 2022 Summer Work Employment Program with the following entities: City of Globe, $7,374. Town of Miami, $14,748. Town of Winkleman, $18,435. Town of Hayden, $25,809. Town of Payson, $14,748. Young Public School, $11,061. And the Hayden Winkleman Unified School District, $22,122. Kathy Melvin, it's all yours.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it's that time of year again when we implement our summer work program. It started yesterday, and as stated here with all of the IGAs, we place kids in the communities of Globe, Miami, Hayden Winkleman Unified School District, Gila County departments, and also in Payson. Last week, Erica and I conducted over 60 interviews in 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday. We drove on site to over to Hayden and Winkleman, where we did over 20 interviews there. It went really well. The hardest part is getting them all placed, and the ones that don't get jobs, Erica has the job of calling them up and telling them they weren't able to be placed. This year we added to the mix Hayden Winkleman Unified School District. We haven't had them in the mix before, but they gave us a request, and I had a meeting with Mr. Menlove, and he was able to find us some funding to place kids over there. It may seem like a lot who have 20 workers in that area over there, but they have no other opportunities for work. So it's really nice that the communities over there and the school district want to work with them to be able to give them a job. They, and I think, let's see, 2, 3, so altogether we have about 40 kids working this summer throughout the county. So that's a pretty good deal for the kids. They make minimum wage. They work 40 hours a week. The program goes from June the 6th to July the 15th. And as I said, it's a really good program, and we're happy to be able to do it again. Eric and I were discussing it, and this is our 5th summer of doing this program where the kids are placed in the communities and Gila County pays for their wages. The community pays them up front, or the school district, and then they invoice us at the end of the summer, and we reimburse them for their costs. So I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Thanks, Kathy. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Kathy. I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, how great it is. I remember when we started this program and pushing it, and how great it is to, I think when we started there was like 2. And so it's great 5 years later to see 40 youth placed. And not only hose and shovels on the side of the road, but whatever their interests are, we try to put them in those interest areas. So hats off, thank you. It's great to see that happening. And it's a great program to help these youth. And a lot of them are return employees from last year as well.
Yeah, I
hopefully.
wanted to point that out too. We had, with this being our 5th summer, the first summer that we did it over in the Hayden Winkleman area, we had twin brother and sister that started the program. They just graduated from high school, and this year they're starting their senior year at U of A. And the brother's going to go on to be an RN, and she's going to go into get her master's in public administration. So it's been pretty neat to see them, and they're all pretty excited about coming back, the ones that we had. But we had a number of returns. So.
And great, and perhaps after they finish their schooling and become a profession at some point, they'll be interested in coming back and sharing their new knowledge with Gila County.
Yes.
Because they've started here and work. So what a great program. I can't thank you enough for the interviews and the time spent in this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm good, Kathy. Thanks to you and Erica and everybody else. It is a good program, so. With that, I entertain a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement for the Gila County 2022 Summer Work Employment Program as follows. City of Globe, $7,374. Town of Miami, $14,748. Town of Winkleman, $18,435. Town of Hayden, $25,809. Town of Payson, $14,748. Young Public School, $11,061. Hayden Winkleman Unified School District, $22,122.
I will second that, Mr. Chairman.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Okay, 4E, information discussion action to approve professional services contract 052022 with Stephen B. Smith to provide solid waste management services in the amount of $70,000 through December 31st, 2022. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. We received a call last month from DCR Construction Services, who provides landfill consulting services to both of our landfills. They informed us that their employee that had the expertise with our landfills, Mr. Rich Petrus, they no longer had a contract with him and they wished to cancel their contract with us. We reached out to Mr. Petrus and Steve Smith, who has contracted with us through DCR Services before, to see if we could come to an agreement to hire Mr. Smith to finish out the year while we put together a formal RFP. So this is to put a contract together with Mr. Smith so they can continue to provide some very important needed services to the landfills as we move forward, while it gives us time to put an RFP out on the street for everyone to bid on. And I'll be coming back to you, I think, at the next meeting, asking you to cancel the DCR contract. We're finalizing invoices and things like that. So anyway, happy to answer any questions you have on this one.
Thanks, Steve. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks, Steve. I have no questions.
Supervisor Humphrey?
No questions.
And neither do I. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the professional services contract number 052022 with Stephen B. Smith.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. On to 4F, information discussion action to authorize the advertisement of request for proposal number 051122 for the purchase of bulk fuel and lubricants to be used by Gila County General Service Division. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Earlier this year, our fuel vendor was bought out by another vendor. They came back to you to execute an agreement with that vendor. At that time, though, they noticed that they had no intention of renewing the contract. They were not going to serve this area anymore. So this is to put a advertisement out for firms to bid to provide us with fuel throughout the county.
Supervisor Christensen, any
Thank
questions?
you. I have no questions.
Supervisor Humphrey?
This has got to be a tough one with fuel prices changing every day. And how long is this proposal that we're looking for a year?
It will, yes, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, it will be a year with renewals. But the way it'll be written is the rack price in Phoenix on a Monday morning, the OPEC price, it will be based on that, and they will add cents per delivery to the outlying areas, but it will be expensive.
Okay, and that'll also be fluctuable too, so mainly there's delivery of whatever the cost and percentage of what they can buy it for.
They will charge us a set price for per mile, say 14 cents a mile to deliver to Star Valley, and I'm just throwing that out there.
Right, yeah, no, understood.
But their cost will be set on what they can charge us for the fuel that Monday morning.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And I'm glad it goes out for bid. Thank you.
I'll bet a lot of our budget is wrapped up in fuel, huh?
Our new one's gonna be.
All right, so Steve thinks. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the advertisement of request for proposal number 051122.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
4G, information discussion action to approve amendment number 1 to contract number 111521 with Intermountain West Civil Constructors to increase the amount by $10,007.27 for a total contract of $156,387.27 to pay for the additional square footage of the landfill pond liner. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Earlier this year, I was in front of you asking you to award to Intermountain West, and I didn't have all of my facts straight, and I apologize for that. This is, we're here strictly because of staff errors. I said we called it a repair. It was not really a repair. We replaced and relined the whole pond. It's one of the original ponds from when the landfill was built in the late 80s. So the liner had been in place for a number of years and had failed. Also, I didn't provide a contingency or a force account for any additional work. When we went out to bid, we used plans. We didn't have any as-built from when it was built, so we thought this was the size of it. And that's what the contractor bid on, square foot on this size. Afterwards, when we went in and as-built it, when it was complete, we found that there's about a 10,000 square foot more that was done, this, which is 30 by 30, a little over by 30 by 30 square. But anyway, this is to pay for that additional amount. We can't authorize it in-house because we didn't have a line item in the budget or in the contract for it. So asking you to pay the, or let us pay the additional contract amount.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Steve. I remember this was a big mouthful back when we bid it off before, and now it's getting bigger. So we wanted to do this project for less than $50,000, I remember, and the cost of materials has gone up, so it's 3 times that much now. So it's unfortunate that we made a mistake. It's not the fault of the contractor.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I'll take full responsibility.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Supervisor Humphrey.
No questions. Well,
So my thought is regardless of a mistake on it or whatnot, we still have to replace that liner. If it's faulty, it has to be done, so.
sure.
So I'm good, Steve. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to approve amendment number 1 to contract 111521 with Intermountain West Civil Constructors.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. 4H, information, discussion, action to declare a portion of Jefferson Street not necessary for public use and direct staff to begin the process to abandon a portion of Jefferson Street as shown on Miami map number 3GCR map 25. Steve, this is your last one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Jefferson Street's in Lower Miami, adjacent to the railroad tracks, kind of behind the MV Enterprise Bulk Station. It's never been used for a road. The road bypasses, follows around the railroad tracks and goes up the hill. It can't be accessed. It's, basically a vertical bank. And this is to abandon a portion of it adjacent to some properties, give it back to the, or sell it back to the adjoining property owners. It will not stop anyone from accessing their property or anything like that.
Okay, Supervisor Christensen.
No questions, thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, Steve, I've got a question for you because I've been working with a constituent on another road issue. And he was, and I noticed you said that it'll go back to the joint property owners. And on the other issue, the gentleman was told that it would, if it was abandoned, then it would be put up for auction. So I'm wondering what the difference between one road being auctioned or another road just being sold back to the joint property owners?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, my mistake on explaining it. It all goes up for auction. The adjoining property owners have preferential rights to bid on it first at a set price. If I was an adjoiner and I bid $100 and you come along and bid $500, the $100 bid gets it because they benefit the most from it. If no one bids, then it goes to the highest bidder if anyone bids.
Okay, so that auction is set up and the property owners are notified of that auction?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, that's correct. We will notify them ahead of time by registered letter of what the minimum bid amount is and how they have a chance to bid on it.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
I have none either. So with that, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move direct staff to begin the process of abandon a portion of Jefferson Street as shown on Miami map number 3 GCR map 25.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
4I, information, discussion, action to review all bids submitted for call for bids number 04292022 to provide all advertising, publications, and printing required to be done or made by all departments of Gila County for fiscal year July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and award a contract to the Arizona Silver Belt newspaper at the cost of $2.50 per column inch for all paid publishing and advertising. Mary Springer.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. Per Arizona Revised Statutes 11-255, the board shall contract annually for all advertising, publishing, and printing required to be done by all the departments within the county. And Arizona Silver Belt and the Pace and Roundup were contacted. Both of them, the first go-around, Arizona Silver Belt came in a day late with their bid, and the Pace and Roundup did not bid. So after that happened, we contacted them. We reissued the notice of bid, and both did present bids to us. So Arizona Silver Belt was $2.50 per column inch, and the Pace and Roundup was $8 per column inch. So we're asking the board to award the annual contract to the Arizona Silver Belt.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Did you say $8 per column inch for Payson Roundup?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christensen, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions other than one. You said when you first put it out for bid, you only got one response, so you sent the bid out again?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, that bid came in a day late. It was not able to be accepted because it came in late.
Okay.
So we had to reissue the call for bids and notify both publishing
Okay.
that there was a new call for bids and give them both opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good, Mary. So do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I will move to award contract number 04292022 to the Arizona Silver Belt.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. 4J, information, discussion, action to approve Tyler Technologies invoice 045-377251 in the amount of $155,680.01 for financial and human resources software system licensing, updates and support services for the period of July 1st, 22 through June 30th, 23. Mary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. This is the invoice that we get from Tyler Technologies to provide support and continuing updates to the software that we use for both all the financials that Maren has so famously put together. We use those financials for our audits, and then the human resource side is what we do payroll with. So there's a lot of functionality, a lot of updates that come in, a lot of patches that come in, And at the year end, we get our updates so we can process the W-2s and W-9s. So this is to continue that service.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Mary. I have no questions.
Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions.
Neither do I. Do I have a motion?
I move, Mr. Chair, I move to approve invoice 045-377251 with Tyler Technologies.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you.
Afraid I missed that one.
It's
Okay.
food.
Okay, on to K, information, discussion, action to approve intergovernmental agreement IGA number 02242022 with the town of Winkleman for justice court case management of the town's criminal, misdemeanor, and criminal traffic case filings and terminations for the period of July 1st, 22 through June 30th, 24. Mary?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. This is an IGA with the town of Winkleman so that our justice courts can manage their criminal, misdemeanor, and criminal traffic citations. There's no money changed hands. The court, the justice court, gets all the fees that are paid. This is just allowing us to be able to perform that function for Winkleman.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Christensen?
No questions. Thank you, Mary.
I have
Supervisor
no
Humphrey?
questions.
And I am good as well, so I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve intergovernmental agreement IGA number 02242022 with the town of Winkleman for justice court case management.
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 4L, information, discussion, action to award contract number 031-92022 to Buellman Family Funeral Homes for autopsy transport services in the amount of $50,000 from June 1st, 22 to June 30th, 23. Mary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. This is to award a contract for deceased persons that pass away within the Globe, Miami, Roosevelt, San Carlos, Hayden, Winkleman area, Wheatfields, that they will go and do pickup and they'll hold for transport down to the Pinal County Medical Examiner. So we're asking you to award Buellman Family Funeral Homes the contract for that. And they were the only one to bid for that area.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mary. No questions.
Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, no questions, just a comment, and that I received calls, and I understand why that was the only bid accepted, is because their competition's Cable One quit or got out of service, and they got a new service, and so there was a mix-up in them getting the email of the bid, and so, yeah, I understand. I'm grateful for the staff for what they do. It was just something I received to inform you of. And so we do have more interested people in the future, in probably next year when we put it up for bid. Yep. And so I thank you very much for all you do, and I have nothing further.
I'm good, Mary. Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to award contract number 03192022 to Buellman Family Funeral Home and Autopsy Transport Services.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4M, information, discussion, action to approve the Fourth Amendment intergovernmental agreement between Gila County and the Arizona County's Insurance Pool, which shall become effective July 1st, 22, and shall continue in force and in effect for a period of 10 years or until terminated in accordance with the terms and provisions of the agreement, and further may be renewed for an additional 10-year term by mutual agreement by part or all of the parties prior to the expiration of the original and any renewal term of the agreement. James, do we have you on phone?
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, this is the Arizona County's insurance pool. This is a really beneficial insurance consortium for us to be a part of. This means that we are able to be actively active participants in any lawsuits, any liabilities that we have. We can steer and direct the insurance pool in things that are more favorable, that impact us most favorably as a county. So I would recommend highly that we continue our agreement with the Arizona County's insurance pool for an agreement of 10 years to be able to participate. All 13 of the smaller counties are members of the insurance pool. Maricopa and Pima are the only two counties in Arizona that do not participate in this pool. And they have their own insurance pool that they do by themselves. So I am able to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, James. I have no questions.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions either.
And neither do I. With that, I entertain a motion.
I move to approve the fourth amended intergovernmental agreement between Gila County and the Arizona County's insurance pool effective July 1, 2022.
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. On to 4N, information, discussion, action to appoint James Minlove as Clerk of the Board of Supervisors, effective immediately. James?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, with the retirement of Marion Shepard as Clerk of the Board, we are in an interim phase as far as clerk, and to meet statutory requirements for the Clerk of the Board of Supervisors, we request that you appoint the county manager as the Clerk of the Board. There are currently 3 county managers that also serve as the Clerk of the Board in Graham, Apache, and Yavapai counties. This is really would be for statutory purposes for this appointment, and that there would be, we would have 2 individuals that will continue. Ms. Henderson, and then we'll be posting another position to open up for filling the positions of Clerk of the Board, and we will also be looking to, for certain specific services, contracting with Ms. Shepard to make sure that we are completely covered with the duties of the Clerk of the Board. Able to answer any questions should you have them.
I
think we're going to have some, James. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you're requesting to be the Clerk of the Board based on the idea that other counties have done that in the past with their county manager. Is there any other options? Or is that the best option?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christensen, that is entirely up to you. The options are, well, this is looked at this time as an interim appointment. The retirement of Ms. Shepard, it is my recommendation to go in this direction. If you want to go in a different direction, that is certainly an option.
Okay. The reason I asked that is Ms. Henderson has been working closely with Marion, and I didn't know if there was a reason that you were selected versus her.
That is something that will certainly be considered in the future.
So it's in the background on him. Did that answer your question?
I didn't hear the answer.
Basically, it's something that can be considered, is what James said.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I just have, I'm in this office quite a bit, and I've seen Marion perform her duties, and she's there an awful lot, and sometimes way late. And I don't know that workload, even with her part-time and Missy performing as she does, that won't create a lot more on the county manager. I would like to see a work session on options and the workload and the dealing out of the workload that Marion now performs. I appreciate her very much for being available to contract with us. But I would like to take a closer look at the big picture. And I have no issues with the county manager being the clerk of the Board of Supervisors, but for a temporary measure until we can get a work session to where we can get together with staff to discuss this further in a long-term view of what we're going to be looking at. And Mr. Chair, that's my 2 cents worth.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
If I could address that, I'm probably not explaining myself very well. This appointment of the county manager is a figurative requirement for statute. The intention is that if the county manager is appointed as clerk of the board, that Ms. Henderson would be appointed to acting or interim chief deputy clerk of the board, which would be a position in the same level as the clerk of the board as far as pay grade and salary considerations. And then that we would post what that position is of deputy clerk of the board, to post that position and then bring that person on board as soon as we can so that we have 2 full-time employees filling the clerk of the board responsibilities and positions with the assistance and support from Ms. Shepherd through a contract.
Thank you, James. So, my idea is, and I've thought about this a lot, there are 3 counties that do that, but I feel like to start with, we're kind of going backwards if we do this. Marion had a lot of workload on her. I voiced this to you too, James, that workload would be transferred to you, and which I always felt your plate is really full right now as it is. The other part that I'm not sure that I really in favor of is if Missy takes Marion's place in grade, in pay, whatever it is, that's fine, but she's taking it without the title. She won't have the title that goes with it. I kind of feel like that's being a little bit unfair to put someone in that position. I think the biggest thing that I see is that I've asked questions on this, on different people. I've been unable to get any real good, clear reason why we would do this and not just go out for a clerk of the court. Now, whether or not we could find one, I have no idea. But I really feel like we're going backwards. And I've seen us do this in several occasions with the folks that retire. We end up bringing them back on contracts. And I don't think that's a good way to go myself. I think it's great to have them when they can help us, but to really rely on them heavily, I don't think that's good. I don't think that that the workload is light and can be easily handled. I think there's a lot to the clerk of the board. The clerk of the board also is kind of a neutral party, in my opinion, like a non-political type entity in our county that operates by statute or policy. And so, if you really want the truth, I'm all in favor of doing what we need to now to hold the position, but I'm also in favor of moving forward, and in my position, not going backwards on this at all, but going forward with it and look for a clerk of the board, whether that's Missy that applies for the job or that's somebody new from off the street. So, did that spark any other conversation from you guys? Supervisor Christensen
Well, is it necessary? Is it mandatory? Is it statute that we appoint an interim clerk of the court before we seek?
Board. Clerk of
Or
the board.
clerk of the board, I'm sorry, thank you for correcting me. A clerk of the board, before we seek, a request for that position.
Is that a question for Jessica?
Oh, maybe.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the options that we have before us is to take this action today. If you as a board, which is fine, if you choose to go in another direction, we will open this up for open applications and open recruitment for a clerk of the board. So that would take probably a minimum of 2 months to have a clerk of the board selected and appointed.
So in that amount of time, James, my question would be, that's where I could see somebody like Marion coming in to help us through that time with Missy. Am I correct?
We would consider all the options to make sure that we're covered the best that we can during that period of time.
Thank you, James. Jessica's got something to tell us.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, supervisors. The statute indicates that the board shall appoint the clerk of the board. It's not indicating any sort of time constraint.
Okay. Okay. Tim, did you have any more you want to say on this?
Yeah, the only thing I want to say is if we have to appoint someone, I'm all for appointing someone. But here I am again, I'm a big fan of work sessions, so we understand stuff. And here we are having a work session during a board meeting agenda, which I don't care for off the get-go. So I would be happy to appoint the county manager, James Menlove, as clerk, if we need a clerk. But I would also for it temporary until we have an opportunity to have a work session with staff and be able to hash out all of this at a work session, not an agenda item.
I think at this point, I'm comfortable with the motion. It sounds like you're rolling some ideas around, so throw one out there.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to appoint James Menlove as clerk of the board of the Board of Supervisors, effective immediately, pending a work session to discuss this further on options that we have and to discuss further discussion on clerk of the board position.
So let me clarify this. Are you saying like an intermittent clerk of the board, intermittently?
Yes.
Interim? Yeah, thank you, Missy.
Yeah. Yeah, and, well, like I say, we need to appoint a clerk. So I would appoint James Menlove the clerk until we have time to look at this further. I mean, do I need to put a time constraint on it? But then I would be also putting a time restriction on when we have a work session to discuss. Apparently, staff has already, talked about it because they're, it's on the agenda for James to be clerk of the board. I'm not comfortable with that as a permanent situation.
So your motion would read for a temporary position, James would be the...
James would be temporary clerk of the Board of Supervisors, effective immediately, pending a work session for further discussion.
Do I have a second?
I've got a real wandering look from Missy and maybe the county attorney on my motion, but this is why I like work sessions. Instead of they put us on a pin in front of everybody over a discussion that we have not been able to have with staff. So, Mr. Menlove, would you care to help us with this motion? Because this is the situation that we're in, and apparently that not all of us get a warm, fuzzy feeling about what we're to be making a choice on.
You could make a motion to appoint the county manager as interim clerk of the board effective immediately until August 31st, 2022, or another appointment is made by the Board of Supervisors, whichever comes first.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. 2 in favor, 1 opposed. Okay. Thank you, James. Steve. Steve's opposed. Okay, moving on to number 5. Thank you, James, for taking the time to be on the phone with us on this one. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, could I, I'm going to jump off. Could I make one comment?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, I believe that the bids are due for the Tunnel Creek Bridge, and that may be an item that comes up later, but I believe the bids are due later this month or starting construction in October. So there's progress, and it's going to be coming here quick, and looking forward to that, the Tunnel Creek Bridge.
Thank you, James.
Thank you very much. And
That's
thank
good
you.
to hear.
Great rest of your meeting. Thank you.
Be safe out there. Okay, number 5, consent agenda action items. Any matter on the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed and voted upon as a regular agenda item upon the request of any member of the Board of Supervisors. Would either one of you gentlemen care to remove any one of these 2-page agenda,
I do not.
consent agendas?
Mr. Chair, I would like to remove consent agenda item 5A and discuss as a regular.
Okay, do I have a motion to remove agenda 5A? Which, so moved, are you good with that?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, so we'll discuss 5A before we go on to the rest of the consent agenda action. Are you ready for this, Jessica? Good. Supervisor Humphrey, tie in there.
Okay. Yeah, on consent agenda item 5A, it gets into me working in your district and Supervisor Christensen's district, which I'm not comfortable with. We have grant funding, and each district has its own personality, as neighborhoods and towns do. And so, since I've been a supervisor, I'm responsible for my grant recipients depending on what I feel is necessary within my district. It has run well since I have been elected a supervisor, and now they want whatever comes up to be a board decision. I do not want it to be brought in front of me of what you feel is necessary in your district, Supervisor Klein, or in your district, Supervisor Christensen. If you feel as if your grant money should be spent in a particular way, I feel as if that's between you and your constituents, not me, because I don't, some of the grant monies that I would be voting on today for either one of your districts, I don't know that particular area. I don't know what's going on, and I'm not going to take the time to drive up there, to drive roads, to investigate different entities that may be a 501c3 that you care to help. I don't want to get involved in your politics or in your relationship with the people within your district. And that's kind of how I feel about that. So as far as this goes, I would be completely against board deciding on individual grant money spent per district.
Supervisor Christensen, before I let Jessica respond, do you have something?
Yeah, sure, thanks. And I sympathize with those thoughts. This is not something that I asked for to be on the agenda, but after talking to Jessica and others, I don't, as we give our money, our grants, should I say, as we distribute those, I don't want any liability for myself. And so running it through on a consent or something like that would help remove that, is what I was explained to. So if a grant is given that somehow meets disapproval, it would make all the parties involved liable, the recipients, all those that were involved, and that's what I was told. So I do sympathize with Mr. Humphrey. It seems like things are changing when it comes to the definition of some of this, so maybe Jessica can enlighten us
So
on this.
Jessica, if I may, before you tie in there. So I thought long and hard about this. We've had several conversations over it, did a little digging on it, and in 2013, there was a BOS policy on constituent funds. That's BOS FIN-016. And what it says under constituent funds is annually, constituent funds are appropriated for each of the 3 members of the Gila County Board of Supervisors for use within their respective districts for purposes each supervisor deems appropriate. So that one little sentence does say a lot, and in there is the fact that we have to be heads up where our money's going. We can only do it legally. And I know there's been a lot of conversation over gifting, what's considered gifting, what's considered helping, and what's also kind of confusing to me is sometimes I think we get caught up between economic development and constituent funds. And those are 2 different monies, in my opinion. And so I know the reason we have constituent funds. I know what brought that about back when. It's something that when I was running for supervisor, I did not like constituent funds. I always felt like I had a target on my back because everywhere I went, people held out their hands for money. But I will tell you, in 5 years of having these funds, what I've come to learn is that is a little bit of money that I have to help not only 501c3s, but our departments. It helps hiring people on temporary basis and so forth like that. It's been a real useful, well put to use pot of money that was established in this county some years back. And one of the things that I did, and Kathy, she was with me at the time, was I attended a workshop in Twin Arrows, Flagstaff. And the very first workshop I ever went to for this county was how to stay out of the federal pen. Trust me, I can almost tell you word for word what that lady said after she went to the federal pen for several years. So, and it can be as simple as just receiving free tickets from somebody, an organization, for example. So there's a lot that, as a supervisor with these monies, we really do have to be heads up. I don't know that there's a good way of going about it, but I don't disagree with what Tim stated earlier as far as the use. But with that, I'm going to let Jessica tell us how to keep us out of jail.
Mr. Chairman, supervisors, so as you indicated in the policy, it's saying that you may appropriate funds for each constituent. Now, whether it's the board or each supervisor deciding how those funds are going to be dispersed or what have you, there still needs to be statutory authority to do so. Now here, we're looking at contributions for economic development. It's ARS 11-254. Within that statute, it says that the board needs to make a finding that it's for the benefit of the public. That is a board decision. If you believe that there's some other statute that gives you authority to expend funds, then you can do so. However, if it's going before the board, it is going to go through legal review. And at this point, when we're looking to the authority, again, ARS 11-254 is indicating that the board needs to find that it is for the benefit of the public, not one supervisor.
So Jessica, if I may, what's your what's the difference between constituent funds and economic development, in your opinion?
I don't believe that there is any difference between the two. The constituent funds was policy made, not through the legislature.
Supervisors?
Again, here we are discussing a work session item that we should have been able to hash out with staff and the attorneys before we're put on a pinpoint, add an agenda item to make a decision. I'm not comfortable with it. I think we ought to have more work sessions for this example, because here we are hashing stuff out when we're supposed to be making decisions. We need to be able to hash these things out to understand which direction to go. And yesterday, everything was fine the way we've been doing things for the years that I've been a supervisor. Today, I have to make a choice to change that without being able to discuss it with anyone. I find that difficult. I'm not comfortable with it. And if we have to make a motion to continue this to another agenda item, I would be comfortable with that, but I'm not comfortable in making a vote today on what's presented to me with the information that I have without the opportunity to discuss it in length with the people that I need to discuss it with.
So supervisors, the one thing that I can tell you that I would like to do if we can, it's up to all of us or majority of us, but we have 6 items on that list. It's been sitting on that list now for about 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know about you guys. I've got a $350 deal sitting there for a Little League park in my district. And if there's any way we can see to approve these and then go for a work session.
I'm comfortable with this. I'm just not comfortable with the process going forward.
Okay.
And the thing of it is all of a sudden, if someone in our district needs something, we're able to help them. If we have to wait for it to come on an agenda item and be approved by the board before we can help, your Little League season might be over before it gets on an agenda to be approved by the board, which is bull. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. But yes, I will be happy to make a motion to accept it as written, providing that it's not policy going forward to the future, that they're board decisions. I'm not comfortable with that.
And we'll roll it into a work session.
I would like to. I sure would.
Supervisor Christensen?
Well, if we don't want this, then, I concur with Mr. Humphreys. If we don't like this as written, then let's just not do it right now.
No, I've got.
No, I would make a motion to do it right now because Supervisor Kleins needs this money for his Little League field. And if he thinks that's necessary, today I'll vote supporting him thinking that's necessary. But in the future, he ought to have his own responsibility of whether he thinks it's necessary or not my job.
I see that clearer now.
So you got a motion in place. It's there?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda item 5A on the 6 description of requests to be approved today, but not to be policy future.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. We look forward to more discussion, Jessica. Okay, going back to the remainder of the consent agenda, items B through AA. Everything's good? If I have a motion to accept those?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve consent agenda items 5B through 5AA.
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Call to the public. A call to the public is held for public benefit to allow individuals to address the Board of Supervisors on any issue within the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.01H, at the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the Board of Supervisors may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the board, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on future agenda for further discussion and decision at a future date. I know we have folks here, but I'm going to start in Payson. Lisa, do you have anybody in Payson?
No, sir.
Okay, so let me pull up this right here. Cindy Hudson, is that you?
That's me.
Cindy, you've got 3 minutes to tell us what you think.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members, for hearing us. Let me give you a little history. On February 5th, 2019, you passed ordinance number 2019-02, which approved the rezoning of Pine Ice, their southern parcel, with 7 conditions. Much like the rezoning that was passed today, there were 7 conditions. Pine Ice ignored these 7 conditions, as well as ignoring Gila County grading and drainage ordinances when they graded and built up their lot. This diverted their stormwater directly onto our adjacent parcel. As a result, we and 3 other businesses continue to be flooded with every rainstorm. We filed a formal complaint last June. That's June of 2021, a full year ago. We have been repeatedly told, it is the process takes time, be patient. Well, in this case, Mr. Chairman and supervisors, this process has been broken. This is why we're here today asking to be heard by you, our county supervisors. It appears that county officials have not followed their own policies and procedures as they are written. For example, in March 2022, finally, 9 months after our complaint was filed, Community Development recommended that Pine Ice remove all vehicles and equipment from the lot until a development plan is approved and work completed, one of the 7 stipulations. They recommended number 2, all water be held on their property until an engineered drainage plan is approved and work completed. Recommendation number 3 was for fines according to the Grading and Drainage Ordinance Article 5, 500.4 civil penalties. The hearing officer ignored all 3 recommendations and ordered them to simply remove the trucks only. They could leave equipment and sandbag the northeastern entrance to the lot. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, the northeast entrance. This does nothing to address the flooding of their entire lot, which exits onto our property at their southeast corner. Supervisor Christensen, I respectfully remind you that on May 31st, you stated, quote, things are working out, and I absolutely believe this will be resolved shortly and before the monsoon season starts, unquote. Monsoon season is less than a month away. Nothing has changed on the grading or the drainage of that lot. So we were looking at another monsoon season of flooding with no consequences to Pine Ice according to county ordinances. This has been described as a dispute between neighbors. The actual dispute is actually that Gila County officials are not enforcing their own ordinances as they're written equally for all residences. So I ask for your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cindy. So I've got 2 other call to the publics. What I would ask that I'll give each of you an opportunity to come up and speak as long as it's on something about this that she didn't cover. Is there another damage being done or whatever? And so, Vincent, I think I got your card. Do you have anything more to add to this that we haven't just heard?
Thank you, folks, for letting me stand up here and speak. This condition has gotten worse. The neighbors threaten us. Almost got in a fight at the last board meeting, called outside, and we're pursuing that. But we've got a supervisor that's turning his head to our side of the fence of this issue, and we're the ones that have not violated any issues. It's the Pine Ice group that has violated the issues, and Mr. Christensen here is standing up for them throughout the whole deal, as well as Homer. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's another individual, C. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name on this. So if you could tell me your name, and I ask that we don't repeat what's, or,
Gonna try not to.
okay. So,
Name, C. Richard Crow. I do not have
Okay.
a first name. I'm part owner of Timeless Antiques, which is also just to, I guess it would be the east side of this property we're talking of. And the only thing I want to add, so that we don't go repeating, at the one hearing, we all stand up and raise our right hand and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And at that meeting, we were informed that we could not talk about the property being developed without a development plan, without a drainage plan. That all we could talk about is the runoff water. This was told to us by the hearing officer. We have a copy of the original complaint. It specifies that there was not a development plan, not any permits when this land was developed. For me, one of the problems is we had a 14-inch curb between our property and that property. Both properties were at that level. Their property now is 18 inches above that curb. We are worried our building is 16 inches from that curb. That's the only reason I'm here. I'm too old to risk losing my business. And we just wonder, I want to know is why, as a taxpayer, am I required to file a complaint to get the county ordinances enforced? That's the one that I really have a trouble with. I was also informed at that meeting that the county does not levy fines because it gets complicated when they get under compliance and the county has to pay the money back. I've never seen the county pay money back, not for fines. And it's these kind of things that, to a taxpayer, just bug the devil out of me. But I thank you for your time.
thank you. So, Supervisor Christensen,
Yes, Mr. Chairman?
do you have anything you want to bring up or say? Or
I would, and I am sympathetic to this situation. It has been going on for much too long. We're at a year right now, and there's a number of reasons that we're out of control. One of the engineers passed away in the middle of developing an engineering situation. Mr. Homero is also very fluent in what's going on. And I have conducted multiple meetings with both parties in an attempt to move it along quickly. I haven't, as I've been accused, turned my head away from it. It is part of the community development arm of the county to handle this. There was the engineering has been completed at this point. We're waiting on easements in order to start the construction. So it looks like a good solve to me, the engineering that I've seen, and it should be a good for both parties, and I am hopeful we can do something before the monsoon season. So I represent both parties as constituents, and I don't favor one over the other.
Thank you, Steve. Tim, do you have anything you want to say?
I have no comment other than I'm grateful for call to the public and people are able to address the board. And that's all I have.
So I want to thank you guys for bringing it up and coming down here and getting in front of us. I know it's quite a ways from home for you, so thank you for that. I would guess that if I was a guessing guy today, that you'll probably be hearing from someone here shortly. So thank you. Thank you again. All right, moving on. At any time during this meeting pursuant to ARS 38-431.02K, members of the Board of Supervisors and the county manager may present a brief summary of current events. No action may be taken on information presented. We heard from James earlier about the Tunnel Bridge. And so with that, Supervisor Christensen, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been working for several months now with Cameron Davis on a short video, just over 1 minute, that celebrates and honors our servicemen and women, our veterans, that will be playing at the Sawmill Theaters. We're going to have on Saturday the 11th kind of a opening of that and a good, nice ceremony to honor them. The Sawmill Theater is donating that time so that we can show this video before every movie in the theaters going forward. Cameron Davis was generous enough to donate his time as well. So we look forward to that. I was on KRIM Radio last Wednesday on the Community Spotlight, went well, and KMOG last Thursday. When I'm able to be on the radios, I'm able to share a lot of information about, you know, taxes, budget, fire season, preparedness, all kinds of things like that, so it's good. I met with Sadie Bingham last Friday to discuss election procedures, and so that was very informative. We have a Game and Fish Award banquet coming up on the 11th, and so I plan on attending that. I'm also going to be conducting a Payson Town Hall at the new Tommy Klein Martin Complex on June 13th. That's a Monday, starts at 9 a.m. We're going to talk about current issues and also answer questions. And so that's all I have. Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I was supposed to be on KMOG on Monday, but some things come up at the last minute and I was unable to be on the radio station, but we're going to reschedule with them. Tonight at 5:30, there will be a Gila County, Globe Miami post-fire and flood town hall meeting this evening. It was advertised as Globe Miami post-fire and flood town hall meeting, but Gila County's been involved in that since the start when Mayor Gameros and I talked about it on our way to a CAG meeting. So anyway, sometimes we don't get advertised as it's supposed to be, but anyway, that'll be this evening at 5:30 for the public on kind of what we're doing to get ready for the monsoons coming this year, being that we had such a lot of major drainage issues last year in this area. Just to kind of let the public know what we're in store for and what we're planning for. I participated in a Campaign Creek buyout project where the Woodbury fire is coming down a creek and entering people's homes. And so we're working with grant money and different things of that to see what we can do to help protect those people or to purchase their properties because we can't protect them. Held a Stagecoach drainage project meeting. I'll hold a Roosevelt community meeting on the 13th, and I think those meetings are at 1 o'clock. We'll be on KQSS on the 13th at 5:30 p.m., and I'll hold a Tono Basin community meeting on the 14th, and those are at 5 o'clock. And so that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tim. So I don't have a lot from last week. I got a whole slew of meetings coming up this week. But what I wanted to spend my time with was, I got this on the email the other day, it's from the Gila County Superior Court Probation Department. Gila County Probation Department is pleased to announce the following national and statewide award nominations. the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, NADCP, National Nomination and Recognition of Gila County Probation Department's Opiate Court Program. And he gives a rundown of some folks there. I'm going to shorten it up a little bit and tell you about more here. Gila County Probation has also been nominated for the following Excellence in Education Statewide Awards. And that includes Defensive Tactics Instructor of the Year, Firearms Instructor of the Year, and Probation Safety Instructor of the Year. I want to pass on to our probation department. Those guys and gals are really awesome. They've done a tremendous job. They're doing really good. And I suspect they're going to go a long ways on all this. And so I wanted to let y'all know that. So if you see any of them, congratulate them. And we're proud of them. So with that, is there anything else jogging you guys' memory? Are we good? For a long agenda, we're good on time. So with that, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.